welcome.
We could run into the wild, feel the grass beneath our feet.
Hey, Martin, how are you? Good to see you, my man. Hey,
I'm great. How are you?
I'm well. Hey, Margaret. Hey, Elizabeth. Hey, Ty. Thanks for being with us. Hey, Jacob. Oh, I'm so glad you're with us, Jacob, today. That's awesome. Good to see you all. Hey, Elizabeth. All right. So we are going to get started in just a sec. Great to see you all. Just pin my video. All right, I'm really stoked about today's session, y'all. I'm going to start real quick by just putting on the chat. I don't know if you, for those of you who weren't with us last time, I am I'm creating a course, right? And for my course, I'm creating this first course that's going to be for educators and really supporting them on moving through this COVID situation, this pandemic, with more peace and more resilience. And oh, Allison, you tried the world game with your, that's awesome. We played some games too last time. That's what Allison's referring to in the chat. But going back to my course, I just wanted to put up a link to a form that I created that really has just a couple questions for you all that is to help to inform me about how to structure the course in the best possible way for the educators in your school and for you. So if you are open to filling out this form, that'd be amazing. There's absolutely no pressure. It should take only like a minute of your time. Basically, again, what this course is about, it's going to be a short course, probably like 5 to 6 hours at most. That's going to be self-paced, and it's going to be for educators to help them move through the COVID-19 situation with more ease and more resilience, not only for themselves, but also it's going to give them a bunch of strategies and activities to connect with their students and support their students and the families that they serve. So the form's on the chat. If you can take some time to fill that, that'd be awesome. And of course, I'm also going to put my contact information in case you want to reach me on social media or want to connect about supporting your school, you know, later on or even now through Zoom and video conferencing. I'm totally happy to do that. And we're going to get started in a sec. So today, I have the distinct pleasure of having Martin Blank join us. He and I go way back, and Martin is going to take us through what I think are really powerful ways to respond to people so that we can deepen connection. And I think, again, especially during this time of physical distancing, I think social connection matters more than anything. And so the more we can have tools under our belt to remember how to deeply connect with others, I think the better we're going to be off, just because relationships are the number one predictor of well-being, and it feeds our soul. And so I want to tell you a little bit about Martin before I give him the stage. And I first met Martin when he actually came to do a professional development training at my school. So I taught at Gunn High School in Palo Alto for many years. And the first time I saw him, he came and gave us a professional development training and really supported us. We were going through some tragedies at the time, and I'm not going to belabor or go into it too much, but basically going through a lot of trauma, like not even secondary, like primary trauma. And Martin came in and really supported us with regulating our own emotions and gave us a lot of really powerful tools to go through it. And it really was incredibly powerful for me. And since that day, I was like, listen, I'm going to start this company, EQ Schools. I'm going to have as many events as I can. I want this guy at every one of my events, like speaking to my people, supporting, because he's just incredible at what he does. And I consider him a real dear friend now as well, and a person that I continue to learn from and learn with. And so I'm going to read you his bio because it's incredibly impressive and cool. And then I'm going to pass the baton to Martin. So Martin Blank has taught restorative practices and mindfulness to over 15,000 students, administrators, and teachers across North America. Martin currently serves as a school climate manager in the school district of Philadelphia, where he works with staff and students to bring innovative and alternative restorative discipline practices and policies. A former general education, elementary, and special education high school teacher, he also founded the Astronaut Social Emotional Learning Program in 2017 to transform K-12 schools and district climates and cultures through innovative, psychologically restorative art, music, and mindfulness programs. He graduated from Penn with a master's degree in applied positive psychology in 2019, where he was awarded the 2018 Christopher Peterson Memorial Fellowship for his work with marginalized communities in California. His research focuses on the integration of psychological measures of stress into social emotional learning programs. Martin is a registered 200H yoga teacher and is trained through the Sri Sri Yoga School. His work teaching breathing and meditation to high-stress schools has been featured on PBS Nova's 2016 The Future of Schools. Martin lives in Philadelphia with his wife and enjoys sailing, laughing, playing music, doing yoga, and meditating. And with that, I am incredibly honored to introduce to you Martin Blank. And Martin, I'm going to unmute you and mute myself. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Roni, wow, thanks for that intro. It's a real pleasure to be here. I want to just throw it, ping pong the ball right back to Roni. Working with Roni from the very beginning when we met at Gunn High School all the way until today. It's been a pleasure. And I'm really honored to be here with you and to be here with all the teachers and school and student support people. Let's dive right into it because I know we have a limited amount of time. So one of the things that Roni mentioned was, this program I did at Penn. And although it was really tough in many ways, I'm honored that I worked with some of the world's leading researchers in the field of happiness and well-being. So people who are asking questions like, what does happiness mean? What does it mean to be well? What countries are happier than other countries? What do they have? What can we learn? And really looking at happiness from all different points of views, from an individual level to a communal level, organizational, and asking questions like, what does it mean? What does it mean to be happy? And so before we get started, I want to ask people if you want to, I know most of you work with students, and so in the chat box, just really quickly type in, what do you want for your students? What would you hope for your students in maybe one word, 2 words, 3 words? It can be a quality, it can be a life goal for them, a wish, a blessing, whatever it is. Take a moment and we'll come back. What is it that you hope for your students? Thank you, Andrea, for kicking it off with purpose, passion, connection, resilience, happiness, awareness. Elizabeth, awareness of themselves and others to produce kindness and intrinsic learning. Thank you for sharing. Kate, sense of efficacy and confidence. Kindness and respect for the world. Jacob, thank you for sharing. And well, I like to give people 5. Okay, Roni, thank you. The ability to love and be loved. Let me just close this door. It keeps blowing open. There we go. The wind is crazy today in Philly. Self-esteem, the ability to love and be loved. Thank you. These are beautiful. By all means, keep them coming. we're going to move on for a moment, but really asking the question, what are these things and how are they connected to happiness, right? So what we really at the end of the day we want to provide our students with the internal and the external, most likely the internal resources to provide them with the skills to create the environments that they need to be well, to be happy. So this question of what is happiness is a big one, and it's been studied for thousands of years. And I'm sure that Roni teaches positive psych as well, and so maybe you've already gotten somewhat of a briefer in this. But there's many components, and people ask, well, what do you really need? Do you need to be happy all the time? Pleasurable activities? Do you need to be engaged in your work? Do you need to find meaning in things? Do you need to feel a sense of accomplishment? Do you need to have positive and supportive relationships? And it turns out that one of the most important aspects of a happy, fulfilled life is, you guessed it, relationships, right? We can, and sometimes we say to ourselves, man, if only this person wasn't in my life, I'd be happy. But then again, we really do need to have these important, healthy relationships to move forward and be happy. So, and it's been, relationships have been shown in a bunch of studies to go above and beyond other indicators of well-being. It's sort of like a buffer against stress. And so it's really interesting now as we're sort of living in this quote new normal, this pandemic it's sort of a double whammy. On one hand, you have really high stress situations, and on the other hand, a situation that's creating a lot of high stress. And on the other hand, you are also taking away the very buffer that has helped us cope with stressors traditionally, which is relationships, social distancing. This need to be away from people really gets rid of this buffer. And so it's interesting when we start to look at the science of how do you create relationships intentionally, and we start to ask ourselves, how can we apply this in a virtual setting? So we're going to take a look at some of this work. So people have been studying, okay, in intimate relationships, what types of things can we do in intimate relationships to improve them? So Rice, Clark, Holmes back in 2004 put out a study that that showed that the way that when we perceive that others care about us in close relationships, our relationships improve. So the question really is, how can we show others that we care about them in the interest of building solid relationships? Well, there's a few ways. One of them is through expressing support in times of bad news, right? So they've done studies. So if my perception that my wife will be there when things go wrong, if I know she'll be there when things go wrong, then I have improved personal well-being. The relationship really does well, right? And so the problem with this, though, is that they've looked at, if I come home and I tell my wife, for example, honey, you're not going to believe it, but I got fired today, right? And the way that she responds to that bad news really has an impact on the way that I feel as a person. Generally, what's been found is if she responds really compassionately, constructively, and actively to my sharing the bad news with her, it's been shown to have really positive effects on the relationship. However, some studies have found that even when a partner responds ideally, like my hand is my wife here, right? Liz is my wife. Even when my wife responds ideally to my bad news, I can still actually suffer. My self-worth diminishes because now all of a sudden I feel inferior to her because she's helping me in some crazy, weird, subconscious way. Some studies have found that I actually suffer. So other people have said, okay, well, maybe then you should just hide how you're supporting your partner. Maybe they shouldn't know that you're supporting them so that their self-worth doesn't diminish. And so they've shown this as well, but it's not really plausible to hide your support from your partner all the time. It doesn't make sense. So how else can we show support? And how else can we strengthen relationships through showing support? Well, it turns out that by showing support and by celebrating and savoring a positive experience with our partner, we can actually impact the relationship really well. And why am I talking about partners in the middle of with a whole bunch of teachers? Because you and I both know, well, we all know that what helps a relationship with your partner definitely helps Not everything. I'm not saying go out there and do everything you're doing with your partner, with your students, but it definitely, a lot of things do help, that we're experiencing in these, and that we're seeing in these studies with couples. And so it turns out that our experience of a positive event, let's say I come home and I say, honey, I got a promotion today. They're gonna pay me a whole bunch more money. I'm gonna have so many other things to do, and I'm really excited about it. The way that she responds to me in that relationship, in that interaction, will determine my level of personal well-being, as well as my evaluation of the experience itself, and the quality of my relationship with her. I'm more likely to say that that I feel fulfilled, that I'm committed, that I feel more intimate with her, depending on the way she responds. So you might be asking yourself, well, what is this magical way of responding? And so before I just come out and tell you, I'd like to do a quick demo with somebody. There's 4 main ways that we respond, right? And we're gonna all try these together in a moment, but I wanna ask you, if anybody has some good news they'd like to share with the group. It doesn't have to be like, earth-shattering good news. And I'm going to respond in 4 different ways. Okay, I'm going to respond in 4 different ways. You guys are going to tell me like which way feels the most supportive, healthy, whatever. Like it would most likely lead to a positive relationship. Does anybody want to, take a stab at this and share some positive good news? If nobody does, I'm going to volunteer Roni. So just so you know, it's going to happen one way or another. Anyone?
I think Allison wants to. So Allison Richards, she can.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
I don't see you, Allison. Is your video on? Oh, wait a second. Yes. Hey, there you are. Why don't you go ahead and share some good news, maybe just a quick snippet of it. Let's say I'm your close friend and you want to share with me. Oh, you're muted. You're muted. So that's the first thing we want to do when we're sharing good news. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Hey.
It would be like I successfully had a Zoom call with my students for the first time yesterday.
Congratulations. Well deserved, or well done. Okay, so that's one way of responding. Okay, so real quick, how did you feel there, Allison?
Validated.
Validated. Okay, interesting. Okay, good. So that's called a passive and constructive response. Okay, I said, good job, awesome, thank you. Now, Allison, I'm gonna actually put you on the spot again. You're gonna share with me 3 more times the same thing, okay? And I'm going to respond in different ways. So let's try a different one now. I mean, let's try it again. Can you share one more time?
I successfully did a Zoom class with my students yesterday.
Oh man, so now that you did a Zoom class, that's now that you know how to do it, I feel like it's going to be a whole bunch of work now to have to do those all the time. And I can't imagine having to do my class on Zoom all the time. It's just so hard, it's so different than in person. Okay, how did you feel there?
I feel like you heard what I said, but made it about you.
I kind of made it about me. Yes, great. Beautiful. Exactly. Made it about me. It's active and destructive. I destroyed your enthusiasm really actively. Okay, now let's try number 3. If you can give me the same good news.
Yeah, so I successfully had a Zoom class yesterday with my class for the first time.
Oh man, I can't wait for dinner. My wife and I are gonna have this amazing stew later on. She told me about it. And it's gonna be amazing. So how did you feel there?
Ignored.
Ignored, yes, passive and destructive. Good. And so one more time, I mean, there's got to 4th time's a charm, as they say. So let's try again.
So yesterday I successfully had a Zoom class for the first time.
Oh my gosh, that's great news. I can imagine that's pretty hard. And so this must mark a pretty big milestone for you. And I can't imagine all the things you'll be able to do with your kids on Zoom and the fact that you're connected with them. How did it feel to do that?
I like that you were a cheerleader for me.
No, I really want to know how it felt to be on the Zoom call.
You know, I was nervous because I had never done it, and I had all the controls, and they were all new, right? So I was like freaking out. I was trying to share my screen, but I didn't want to, and I couldn't see everybody. But it worked out.
Beautiful, man! I can't wait. I can't wait to hear more about it. I can't wait to celebrate with you. You know, it's a big thing. It's a big deal. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. How did you feel that time?
Much more upheld, and definitely like you got that it was a big deal.
Absolutely. So I want to share with you this quadrant, and I'm showing it here, right? 4 ways of responding. Can you guys see this? I just pulled this from Google, so I'll not create this disclaimer. But my favorite thing is I think that's Borat right in the middle, right on the top left. So active and constructive is really what we're aiming for, right? That's great. So what you're seeing here is really that there's an encouraging, enthusiastic response on the top left, and that's really what we're going for, and that's what's been associated with higher personal well-being and higher relational well-being. So I want to give you guys a chance to try these out, okay? In breakout rooms, perhaps. It's really fun. It's just going to be about 5 minutes. Roni, are we able to break people up or break them out?
Yes.
Maybe in just groups of 2 for time's sake.
Sounds good.
And so one person will share good news, and then the other person you'll kind of go through all 4 of these if you can. Can people see these from their breakout rooms? That's the question.
No, I don't think they'll be able to see it from their breakout room.
Okay, so maybe take a quick screenshot if people know how to take a screenshot, or if you have your phone and take a picture real quick. This is really what we're aiming for in terms of how to respond, and it empowers us in terms of how we're responding to students and each other. So just for fun, let's take a moment and share with, and then we'll come back and see how exciting that was.
Martin, do you want them then to share something and then have the other person respond in all 4 ways?
Thank you for clarifying. Yes. Have one person share. And what I found could be fun actually is if like me and Roni are on a team, I share good news, Roni responds passive destructive. Then Roni shares good news, then I share passive destructive. And then we go back to my good news, and then we change every time we're changing the response type, but we're both getting a turn right there. But you can decide how to do it. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So we'll come back in at 2:27. How's that sound?
11:27 for us. Yeah, in Pacific time.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. 11:27.
And if you're in a group of 3, just see if you can kind of roll with 2 people. It's just that it's going to be either 2 or 3. So here we go.
Okay.
Hi, sorry, no one was in my breakout room.
Oh, no worries. Andrea, is that how you pronounce your name?
Andrea.
Oh,
Thanks
and
for leading it. It's
sure.
great. So
Oh, good. Awesome. Yeah, let me go ahead and I'm going to put you in room 3. I'm sorry about that.
sure, no worries.
Where are you from, by the way?
Change the subject.
Active
In
and
other words.
destructive, I would say, yeah, but don't you think you're that's kind of using up a lot of your time? Do you really have time for that?
Mm.
And then passive would be like, oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah, kind of just a basic, right? Just like a,
Yeah.
good job.
And then the other one would be like, that's so awesome. It's wonderful. You're finding a way to connect with other people. This is so isolating to be on our own. And it's good.
Yeah.
It is. And this is what I honestly think it is good. We did that with some of the other aides at our thing where we took one of the modules and we're making like a discussion group about it.
Yeah.
So we do that like twice a week, and it just makes it a lot better to be able to talk to other people. Right.
Right. So should I try one? Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, should I turn it around? I'm like, I don't know. I get it.
My teaching credential program. So that was a big accomplishment I've been working on. So
Nice job. So that would be the basic one, right?
passive, yeah.
Yeah, passive. Happy. All right. So she shared some good news. We're not all together again, are we? Are you in our group?
Oh no, I'm just joining you guys, if that's all right.
Joining you. Okay. So yeah, no.
Okay, cool.
Give me the active one, Lena.
Distracted one. Well, so what are you going to do about that? I don't know. Or are you going to make any I don't know. That's sort of like, what are you going to make some changes now? Or that feels like a mom type of thing to say, well, what are you going to do now? I don't
Yeah. Cut you down at the knees, right?
Kind of. Let's see. So the other one would be like just changing the subject, like, right? I'm still learning the different modes.
Yeah, just kind of not even acknowledging what I said.
Yeah.
Talking about something else.
Yeah, and the last one is easier. You kind of give more, like, yeah, that's really fantastic. I'm sure that I know you've been working hard on it, because I do know that. And it's a great accomplishment. And with everything else that you've got going on, that's fantastic news.
Thank you so much. It is. I'm excited, but there's still a lot more work to be done. Great. Well, nice.
Main session, but you all can keep going for a little bit. All right, we're going to return. Most people are going to return in a moment here to the main room. About 20 seconds or so. All right, Martin, we're back.
We're back, and we have to close out the session in 60 seconds.
Yeah, well, we can go a little bit beyond that.
Okay. I didn't know how.
Yeah. Feel
exact.
free to go a little beyond that. We're gonna, and I'll wrap us up with a little something else too. So, yeah, go ahead.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. So maybe using your reaction icon, how was that experience for everyone? Did you find it useful, fun, exciting? I know there's only two possible reactions here. So Zoom is not the most emotionally intelligent platform. Yay. Okay. So I'm curious to hear what people took away from that experience, if anything. You can either say it out loud or type it, chat real quick.
I think one thing that our group took away is just the focus on the other person always in every conversation, and how our words might be perceived, and just being aware of that always, and to realize how we have an effect on others in our world and in our circle of influence. And so being really aware and mindful of the words we use and our body language around that as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that, Andrea. Kate is saying, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Hi. I don't have my video on because I look erect today. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I have a picture up, hopefully, but
Yeah.
but Nicole and I talked. It was funny because we were both there. Neither of us had our camera on, but we had a good conversation. And you know, just talking about how we quickly might passively appreciate students often, and taking that extra step to do the more active, constructive relationship building follow up. I want to hear more about it. I'm excited for you. Tell me more, share more. Especially when we get back to school and we're busy again, keeping that reminder that that's still really important. So
Beautiful.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that aspect of asking questions and continuing the conversation. Thank you. Anyone else? I think we have time for just one more vocal sharing, and people are typing up a storm here as well. So I'll definitely read those at the end.
Real quick, in our group, I thought Margaret's response to me was more active, constructive, but then as we broke it down, Martin pointed out where it was kind of going on the passive side. And so one of the things that for me is when students like tell me about their pets, I always respond with talking about my pets. And so really asking them questions and waiting for them to ask me about my pets instead of putting myself in their conversation, because that's the way I'm thinking I'm connecting with them. Maybe I'm not.
Wow. Terry Ann, thank you so much for
too. I feel that way. We think that we're being positive and motivating, but somehow we get ourselves in there.
Right. And it's so easy because that's what we've been taught. You know,
Right.
It's like these skills aren't taught. So that's why this is a great segue to Roni here, but really with the work that Roni is doing and that so many people are doing around SEL and emotional intelligence is so valuable because it teaches us how to relate to people in healthy ways. And in school never taught us that. School just taught, oh yeah, me too, I have a pet too, or I love pizza too. But wait a second, I was just talking about me. Anyway, so one last thing I want to point out is this process is called capitalization. When somebody shares good news with us, they're trying to capitalize on that good news. Something happened, they're trying to it's a capitalization attempt. And the way that we respond to them really has an impact on the quality of our relationship as well as the way that they experience the event themselves. So with that, I just want to leave you all. I want to say it's been such a pleasure to be here. And Roni, thank you for having me and giving me the opportunity to talk with all your awesome teachers. And thank you everyone for sharing both vocally and in the chat as well. Thank you for sharing.
Man, I absolutely love, I mean, y'all can now see why I was like freaking stoked when Martin said, yeah, I'll do it. And I'm like, yes. Martin, again, you just totally knocked it out of the park as always. And it was just so beautiful and wonderful. Like, it's interesting because I taught people about this. You know, I've been teaching this exact concept to people and to students for years, but I still learn new things coming from hearing it from you. And I just think you are just a master of what you do, and you just so beautifully, with such levity, get the nuance and all the details of the experience and the skills just down packed. And I absolutely loved seeing the lessons and that people shared. And thank you from the bottom of my heart. You're just amazing.
Thank you, Roni. No, thank you for the opportunity. I really, really love doing this. Yeah.
I wanted to add one more thing before we go, and that is the research shows that, and this is counterintuitive, right? But it turns out that the research shows that if you respond constructively yet passively, that actually hurts relationships. It's very bizarre, but it's true, because you are constructive, but if you do it in a passive way, it can actually kind of detach the emotional connection right away. So if, for example, you know, Martin were to share something with me and I was just like, great. You know, it's immediately like, wait, what the hell just happened? Like I shared something super vulnerable with you and like, where'd you go? You know, and that immediately cuts relationship. And so it's key to understand that in this quadrant, there's really only one way to deepen relationship, and that is in a constructive and active approach. So again, deeply, deeply appreciate. I love what everyone said. By the way, I think, again, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, but Andrea, I love the world map that you have behind you. I think that's really cool. So such an honor and a pleasure to have everyone. Well, let me just put, again, I'm going to put on the chat that link to the form that I'm asking people to fill out for, again, to inform me how to create the course that I'm creating right now for people. It's going to come out next week, so I'm really excited about that. And I'm going to unmute everyone. So first of all, we can say thank you to Martin again, and then say bye to everyone. And I really hope to see you all on Tuesday. I'm super excited. I have a really cool session planned for us. And then next Thursday, we have another awesome guest speaker. And so let me go ahead and unmute everyone. Thank you all for being on the call. You're amazing.
Thank
Martin,
you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well,
Bye,
nice to see
everyone.
Yep.
Bye.
you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Be well. Martin. Thank you guys so much. All right. See you all. I love the hearts. See you guys.